when I worked at All Star Sports as a manager, which was the job after Family Video that I had, I got a little taste of that. Being able, and it was just kind of a no tolerance thing. Like if people are being assholes, there are kids around, all that stuff. Like you can tell them to get out, you can call the cops, you can threaten to call the cops, like all that stuff. And it's nice because I went from one job where it's like, oh, if somebody has an issue, give them the sorry sandwich, start with an apology, resolve it, give them something extra, and then apologize again. Like to, if they're a psychopath, call the cops. like it was so different. But yeah, I had to do that a couple times. And like you said, full grown adults were always the issues. Like teenagers, children were better mannered than some of the adults that came, some of the parents that came through there. There was one, Wyatt. It was actually one of the first times Wyatt and I were working together. But it's just an old guy, like being super fucking racist, like for no reason. And it's just this old white guy who's there with his wife and grandkid, and the games weren't working. Like there was a game that wasn't spitting out tickets or something like that, which if you've ever been to All-Star Sports, that's like 90% of the games. But they always have issues. But like he was like, oh, you know why? Because this place is owned by the Cornejos. And because it was All-Star Sports was currently owned by them. I think the ownership's changed since, but he like did like a shitload of racial slurs about Hispanic people, and while there was like Hispanic families present in there walking by and stuff like that, and Wyatt, I think if I'm getting the story right, overheard him say some of that stuff, told me, and so I went over and I walked up to the guy and I was like, excuse me, sir. And you could tell he was already upset because he was going to get talked to about this. He's like, his back's turned towards me, and he just goes, and then just turns around like that. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be great. and he's immediately upset. I told him that one of my employees overheard him using racial slurs and language and stuff like that. And then he's like, oh yeah, you know why I said that? Because, and then he just like kept going off, like said even worse shit. And I told him that he had to get out or else I was going to call the cops. And this dude was like getting in my face, like chest touching, and like, it's just an old guy. And like, I was a very like scrawny kid looking motherfucker back then. And, you know, like obviously this guy could kick my ass if he wanted to, but he still felt the need to like square up and get really close to me and stuff. Anyways, I tell him that I'm going to call the cops if he doesn't leave. His wife eventually like gets him out of there, but by the time they finally get to the car, a cop car is pulling in, parks in front of their car because I like point at it, and the cop gets out and he talks to them. He says, I'll be right back. He comes up to me, and I tell him what happened. He's like, all right, well, there's nothing like I can do to reprimand him. I'm like, oh yeah, I know, just like we wanted him out, and he ended up getting out. And he's like, I'll just give him a talking to like he's a child, and then hopefully he doesn't do it again, even though he probably will.
That's
and
great.
Like, thanks, man. Like he understands that there's people like that out there.
Insane.
It's just it makes me so sad that there are people like that.
It's just not that we're geniuses, not that whatever,
Right.
but it's like it's crazy that growing up, you realize that like a huge percentage of the people out there are just like that. Like they're
shitty people.
It's so whatever they think is the only way things must work.
Yeah.
And like
it's a selfishness and it's a lack of open-mindedness, I feel like, that just closes them off to the rest of the world and convinces them that they are the center of the universe. Yeah. Like you said, everything has to go
there's
their way.
No convincing them of anything. And then there's like a whole scope of people who like feel like, remember, there's a we'll say
I love talking about things that we're not sure we should talk about.
There's that whole subset of people who think that like they're entitled to steal everything. Like, which me and you both have. A lot of the people who might watch this might understand exactly what we're talking about without us saying it. Yeah. But there's this type of people around Wichita who will go from store to store, and like it's like a group, and they steal stuff, and they completely believe that they're entitled to do that. Yep. I mean, we've seen one of them like at a Field of Screams, just like trying to cut lines. Like not only is it stealing something any little thing that just like they can get for free or whatever, it's like, what are you doing? Yep. And there's no convincing them otherwise.
I know you had run-ins with people like that at your place of work, and then also sports, especially for me too.
Yeah. And they cause scenes just to get what they want.
Yep.
Like, what are you doing?
You think things like when like those kind of people were getting tokens from me. They saw my name tag. They saw it said manager and Cole underneath it. So what do? They tell their kids to go to the laser tag on the other side of the building and tell them, oh, just say that Cole said it was okay for them to get a free session. Yeah. And like they went back there, it's and like then the new employee is like, oh, okay, sounds good.
Yeah, they take it, which I mean is genius in a way. They take advantage of like these small loopholes that don't hurt anything sometimes, but like get them with free stuff.
Could you imagine though, just being constantly in that like
sounds stressful, dude.
Of just like what can I do over here to get something free or get something going my way?
Because then it's constantly like, okay, now what if I get caught? Yeah. Like every decision you make would have that background, you know?
It does sound stressful.
And it's not like we just observe this and think this. You've talked to police officers at All-Star Sports who are like, oh yeah, they're the ones who do this. Yep. Like it's like a thing that's known among the police. Like
if pretty much if you have any customer service experience, then
you've had run-ins with these and you may not even know it, but just know that like any theft related or like really bad scenes probably were this. Yep. Like it's like it's like a family, right? It's not a race, it's like a family. Yeah. 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 We'll leave it there.
Yeah. I'd just be worried because if we said something specific, I feel like they would be the type of people
that's how scary it is.
Yeah,
it's like,
I know.
It's like this weird like little boogeyman that lives in Wichita. That's like, we'll leave that there. Anyway, they make jobs hard.
They do, for sure. Jobs that are already difficult for customer service people.
Seriously.
I mean, like I had that racist guy at All-Star Sports. I've had people, just yelling at me for no reason. We had one guy that was told that his child was too small, too short to ride the go-karts. Like to the point where this girl wouldn't have been able to reach the brakes. It would have been just dangerous for her. And probably impossible to actually drive. And a guy like hopped the fence and threatened to punch somebody in the face. Like,
can't he just do a tandem go-kart where he drives and then the girl gets to ride?
Good. No? Yeah. Well, it's a little more of an expensive ticket, I think. Oh, never mind. I don't think it is. I can't remember what the situation was like.
I just mean like there's a solution.
There is. Yeah.
If what you're worried about is like, oh, I brought my daughter.
I think the thing was he wanted her to ride by herself. Like she was old enough that she probably could, but she was just too short to actually reach the pedals safely. So
sorry you were dealt that hand.
We gotta follow a guideline, you know what I mean?
So stupid.
And then the only other job that I had besides that was Spirit Halloween.
Oh yeah.
For a year briefly. And really interesting story happened there. That I'll share real quick. It was I think the day before Halloween, which is like crazy busy time for that place. And there was a line literally almost to the door of people checking out. Like this place was packed. And all of a sudden these people walk in, this like group of maybe 4 or 5 people with giant bags, like duffel bag looking stuff. And they just start running and like throwing stuff in it. Man. And then they just like all leave. And I don't know, like it was really dumb what I did, but I was just so angry with the idea of them like doing it and getting away that I like ran outside and they got into a car that was already on.
Stop.
What?
That's the dumbest thing for somebody to do.
I know.
Any job ever will tell you you'll get fired if you do that.
Not only will you get fired, but you'll have a risk of a lawsuit.
Talk about people who only will do what they think is right.
Yeah, it's a good point. I was making like $7.25. Yeah. Like it was the bare minimum.
Not worth the risk.
Not at all. And I stand in front of the car that's backed up into a parking space that these people just got in. And I'm like, it was so dumb. Like I'm like screaming like
it's like the old west. Like you need to chase them out. Like lasso him. Like it's like that's not how like jobs work.
And just so you guys know, I understand that this is dumb. I've grown a lot since then as a person.
I think it's amazing.
And it's an amazing story, but it was super stupid. And I've grown a lot since then, and that's something that I would never do now.
It's great.
But I like put my hands on the hood of this car, and this woman just like puts a foot on the gas, and like the car goes forward, and I it sounds worse than it is, but like I rolled over the side of the hood and then like fell on the ground. It sounds like an action sequence, but it was really a lot slower and a lot more calm than that. But like still, I couldn't physically do anything else but that. And
there were people in that store looking through the glass of that window and just not knowing that's how their day was gonna go.
And then like the car is like peeling out of the parking lot, and I still get up and I'm like chasing after it so that I could get like the license plate number, and then like just screaming. But like then I like type it in my phone real quick, and I call the police. And it was the day actually that there was a big accident at Beechcraft or an airport or something like that, where like people died, and man, all the police were there. So when I called the police, the dispatcher was like, "I'll be honest with you, no one's going to come by tonight because they're all doing this. So we'll just take your statement. Somebody will call you later." And then over the next period of like 3 months, another reason to regret that decision, besides the whole safety part and not being paid anything, was that I had a detective showing up to my apartment. Like, I think he showed up 3 times, and with like paper, like, what do you call it? A lineup.
Oh, wow.
Where he like asked me to pick some like people that I recognize in it. And he was trying so hard to get me to press charges. He's like, "Are you going to be pursuing any charges against these people?" And I'm like, "Nah, man, I don't want to deal. I regretted doing that. I don't want to dive any deeper into the legal hole than I'm already in." And he was like, "I'm just saying, man, somebody tried to run me over, I'd want them to pay." And he's like hardcore trying to get me to press charges. And I had to just keep being like, "Nah, man, I'm all right. I'm good." But yeah, it was pretty dumb.
So you said detective. It reminded me. When I worked at a cell phone store, I had to run in with a detective.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was in the back one time.
I don't know if I know the story.
And one of the managers was just like, "Hey, there's a guy out there that wants to talk to you." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I thought it was a customer. I go up, and it's this guy in like a tan. It reminds me so much of a person from True Detective. Or no, it reminds me of the guy of what's that Mindhunter show? The bigger guy.
Oh yeah.
And like he has like this tan, almost trench coaty thing on, and he's like got a suit underneath that.
Jesus.
And you go up to him, and he's got kind of like a raspy voice. And he's not looking at me. He's just like, "Hey, just act like you're selling me a phone really quick." And like he's just like, "Don't look at me though."
Oh my god.
And he's just like, "I'm gonna open this binder, and when I open the binder, I'm gonna ask you a question, and I just want a yes or no answer." And then he has one of those like leathery binder things, and he opens it up, and then he starts pointing at like phone prices and stuff like in front of him, like as if not to like draw attention to what we're doing. And then I don't remember what it was. I think it was just like, "Do you recognize this person at all?" And it was just like a picture of somebody, and I just like I look at the picture really quick, and I look at the phone, and I'm just like, "Oh," and I do one of these, and then I'm just like, "No." He's just like, "Thank you very much," and then he closes the binder and leaves.
What the hell?
It was the weirdest thing.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I don't think I've ever heard that story before.
I might not have. It's so weird. It's weird how like over years of working at some place like that, like just the weird stuff I'd see.
Yeah, I bet.
Like, but that's a perfect example of one where it's like just a weird
I
chunk
want to
of
know.
time.
Don't you want to know what he was asking you about?
Right?
Why was he being so?
Right? I'm assuming it's because a customer came in there and might have been my customer. And wanted to know if they could like, if I recognized them so that I could have any more information, like maybe.
Yeah.
Of like, what kind of card did they use? What kind of whatever? What kind of phone
did they buy? There's a whole short film behind that story right there. Dude, that's amazing.
I just, like you said detective, I was like, oh yeah, I had a detective.
I got a detective workplace story
It's
also.
like the stuff you forget about, but it was such a weird thing.
Damn. Yeah. Well, guys, it's been fun talking about our previous jobs.
I have way more too, so eventually we'll do some more.
We'll do some more.
If people like this, let us know, because I got plenty.
We'll do some sequels to the topics, but but on that note, we gotta go. Catch you guys next time. Subscribe, like, comment,
please.
Blow us kisses.
Yeah,
do it right now. All right.
Stupid.